Чи очікуються зараз якісь перемовини на вищому рівні стосовно того, стосовно вирішення питання зерна, я маю на увазі саме Україну і Польщу, і які дискусії зараз тут у Брюсселі відбуваються на цю тему?
Ну, по-перше, президент України оголосив, що одна з тем буде глобальна продовольча безпека і посилення ролі України в глобальній продовольчій безпеці, тому такі питання будуть обговорюватись. В нас очевидно, що на тему зернових ринків є кілька вимірів, є дуже технічні речі, якими займаються я і колеги з інших органів влади, є більш політичні речі. Тому ми очікуємо, що акцент в Гранаді буде зроблений на питаннях продовольчої безпеки і ролі України в продовольчій безпеці в цілому. Ви знаєте, що один з наріжних елементів формули миру президента Зеленського є продовольча безпека, другий пункт з 10. І в нашій розмові з партнерами ми бачимо, що фактично по цьому пункту є універсальна підтримка з усіх держав, і кількість учасників в цій робочій групі є однією з найбільших, тому що справді продовольча безпека в усіх її елементах є тою опорою, на якій має базуватися мир в Україні і припинення агресії Російської Федерації, нормалізація торгівлі в Чорному морі в цілому, тому що Росія робить небезпечною торгівлю в Чорному морі в цілому своєю агресією, шкодячи і самій собі, і торгівлі між Україною і Туреччиною, і експорт з України так само. І весь світ бачить, що ми робимо все, докладаємо всі зусилля для того, щоб забезпечити максимальний експорт з України лише зернових і олійних культур, в такому сипому варіанті буде більше 50 мільйонів тонн, і треба ще пам'ятати, що є інші товари, такі як олії, рослинні на рівні 6-7 мільйонів тонн, і шроти, і далі. Тому і тут взаємодія між Україною і Європейським Союзом є надзвичайно важливою, тому що попри функціонування такого ж початку функціонування нашого самостійного коридору для експорту, левова частка товару везеться через порти Чорного моря в Румунії, а також через Балтійські порти і через залізничну систему, автомобільну систему Європейського Союзу.
Які перспективи вирішення проблеми ембарго на нашу сільськогоспродукцію п'ятью країнами Європейського Союзу? І чи долучилися ще якісь країни до нашої скарги у Світовій організації торгівлі?
По-перше, ембарго немає. Тобто в нас є, це слово таке не дуже голосне, і власне з цим пов'язано більше проблем. В нас є великий прогрес досягнутий з цього року, починаючи з квітня місяця, щодо логістичного виміру по транспортуванню. У нас є істотні, поки ми бачимо, що і польський уряд докладає великі усилля щодо покращення транспортних умов для української продукції. Ми бачимо той такий регіональний фактично роботу між Україною, Молдовою і Румунією за підтримки Європейського Союзу і Сполучених Штатів Америки щодо налагодження максимально ефективної логістики. Другий аспект, який ми теж дуже гарно врегулювали, це ми врегулювали власне митне оформлення тих товарів, які йдуть транзитом через 5 сусідніх держав, і ми бачимо, що жодна країна цей транзит не забороняє і не думає про заборони, тому це велике досягнення, яке ми спільно зробили. У нас залишився один єдиний пункт в такий чутливий, це питання власне того, коли зможуть відкритися ринки сусідніх держав безпосередньо на продаж до них. Це мінімальна проблема, тому що статистично ми не продаємо туди багато речей, але багато продукції зернової, але це питання взагалі функціонування режиму торгівлі між Україною і Європейським Союзом. Ми бачимо, що цю проблему буде усунуто в найближчі тижні, місяці. Буде багато новин з приводу того, як міняється режим ліцензування, там якісь доповнюються, ще щось. Але це дуже активна буде робота, і тому очевидно, що наші спори в СОТ поки що на сьогоднішній день вони на паузі, поки ми шукаємо це практичне рішення.
From Ukraine to withdraw the case from the WTO before negotiating the deal here, also in this coordination platform in the European Commission. So are you ready to withdraw the case from the WTO?
I think that this is the so maybe politically correct like demand, but from let's say my point of view, like policy making or even legal side, I think that we are now not in a dispute because we didn't form any dispute settlement body, no panelist or arbitration. We are at stage of consultations, so we submitted this case and it has 60 days for consultations. I think that we will first of all concentrate on finding solution, and we are in very constructive talks, and we understand as well that for us the EU-wide constructive solution is important because it's not, despite the fact that these claims that we submitted are against individual member states, including Poland. This is a systemic question of our relations with the European Union, and our aim is not just simply withdraw, but to highlight that Ukraine and the European Union has similar approach to treating trade. So that's why we are not like opposing the demand of Polish government, but we definitely see how to resolve all these problems in complex in a way that will show unity between us and Poland, and between us and the European Union, and between Poland and the European Union. Yes, so that we all of us. Yes, so that and I think that now, of course, we hope that the democratic processes in Poland will be over with elections, and the government, and after campaign we will come back to these discussions. So I don't see any systemic obstacles to resolving this problem. At this moment there is no request for any license to be issued for export to Poland from Ukrainian companies. So that's why it's just like additional indicator that there is no like massive pressure on exporting directly to Polish market. So this is just like to even to support the position of Polish government that in reality our bilateral trade in these particular products is not so intensive as it was like shown in customs statistics. So it was anomaly. I think that we made a lot of efforts in order to ensure that these anomalies are disappearing. In reality, the clear interest of Ukrainian exporters is just to export to those member states of the European Union where the demand for Ukrainian goods is really big and high, because I just like to remind you that several years ago we exported to the EU the same amount of corn as last year, and it was dedicated to other member states than Poland. So that's why. So that's just like a story that was made on the changes in custom statistics, but not in real trade flows. I think that the clear factor is that we all are turning back to more normal trade flows, which will allow to come back to the situation that is comfortable from commercial point of view for local farmers in neighboring member states and for Ukrainian farmers as well.
So would Ukraine accept lower subsidies than the current levels in the EU because your agriculture is so competitive and so large?
This is exactly the description of, let's say, prejudice we want to avoid. So first of all, Ukrainian farmers in the field got the price, very low price, at the level of cost of production due to logistical problems. And this is, we might say that the fact that Ukrainian farmers survive last 2 years is a miracle, because in reality the price they have is like 1/2 of what farmers receive in neighboring member states. And as well, we definitely receive a lot of support from our partners, but it is not on the level that is comparable with systemic support that is provided within the European Union. So that's why we are forced to be competitive because of the pressure, because of the pressure on the logistics and blockade of seaports, etc. This is first thing. Another thing is that Ukrainian efficiency in agriculture is also a competitive advantage for EU agriculture as well, because the feeding stuff for EU agriculture that is got from Ukraine is provided additional efficiency for the EU agriculture. And last but not least, I think that the figures presented in media about the eventual cost, let's say, the eventual subsidies for Ukraine, it just indicates that the enlargement process will require complex reassessment of common agricultural policy as such. So we are not at the stage when we are negotiating these things. We need to wait for political decisions and start of talks, negotiating talks. And my assumption is that we will talk about definitely new system of common agricultural policy, where the question of this kind, about certain kind of discounts, etc., will not be so important. What is important for us is just to highlight that Ukrainian agriculture is developing on the same principles as EU agriculture. We promote sustainable agriculture, very climate friendly, and all these elements that exist in the heart of Ukrainian agriculture policy before the war as well, and before the start of accession talks. So that's why the differences between agricultural policy of the EU and Ukraine are not so big as might be perceived. Yeah? So that's why I think that the discussion on accession will be on how to ensure the smooth integration of Ukrainian agriculture into the EU common agricultural policy, with the aims that are set to agriculture by EU itself, so that more climate friendly, more sustainable, etc. So that's why I think that any, let's say, talks about the discounts are premature. The EU is also the major exporter of grains in the world, and so that in these Black Sea and Mediterranean regions we are together really the most important player of exporting these goods, and that's why I think that this is a starting point for discussion. What we are interested in is to present that Ukrainian agriculture is closer to the EU as might be perceived by people who are not in this. So that's why this office, yes, of Ukrainian Agricultural Association is so important here, because we definitely use and try to use the most advanced technologies on sustainable technologies for agriculture, and so that's why for me it's a pity when someone tried to diminish the role of Ukrainian agriculture by saying that they do not comply with EU requirements. It's otherwise. So that's why before talking about the actual subsidies or actual money, we need to understand that Ukrainian agriculture is, to a certain extent, also helps to achieve the goals of EU agricultural policy that are considered as burdensome but by some players within the European Union. You see the debate about the future of common agricultural policy in European Parliament and among European institutions. That there are voices that it's too difficult for EU farmers. But if we will combine together with Ukrainian food system, with Ukrainian supply of the products, it might be easier to achieve climate goals, the food security system, and profitability of EU farmers and food producers.
Can you elaborate, please, the alternative routes of Ukraine transit? I mean, what kind of routes we can expect in the Black Sea, and what kind of damage was done by Russians to Danube transport infrastructure?
Please follow the developments on the trade route from to and out of Ukrainian Black Sea ports. Already 3 ports opened for inbound and outbound, so this is publicly announced. We have a dozen of vessels that inbounded into Odessa and outbound as well, safely, with support of with supervision of our military for security reasons. And it's really showcase that we are gradually restoring navigation, direct navigation to Ukrainian seaports. We hope that it will increase, and this is like plan A for us to restore logistics. In addition to this, we definitely try to optimize the logistics capacity for the Danube Delta and Romanian seaports, including ship-to-ship transshipment, etc. And we have really good action plan and dynamic action plan on how to increase the capacity there. And of course, this is the reason why Russia shells the river ports in the Danube Delta. A part of actual damage, which is already calculated, I think that more than 60,000 tons of cereals combined together, so that the figure may be not correct because we have might have different assessment, but it's very close to this. But the bigger danger is the understanding that this is a target for continuous shelling, so that's why we rely on improvement of anti-missile system in the region, and we see that our partners are eager to support us in this.
What about the consultations with Hungary and Slovakia?
Colleague, it will be the last question.
Do you expect the whole grain problem will be solved in
I think
until the end of the year?
What is important for us is that we have talks all together. So it means that we have also bilateral talks in terms of phone calls, exchange of information with capitals of neighboring member states. But what is important for us is to have full complex solution of the situation with EU institutions, Ukraine and neighboring member states. For us, this policy approach is even more important than just like actual solution for this. So all the talks we have are talks about how to find a solution that will maintain the competences of European Union institutions, the actual legal regimes that are applicable between Ukraine and the European Union, and the situation on the markets, because you know that this situation is complex. Yeah, so someone say that it is like for the damage of local farmers. Someone else who can say that we need more transit and we don't care. But in reality, we understand that this is a complex situation, and for us, we do our best in order to ensure that the situation develops into normalization of both trade and the legal situation or policy situation, better use policy situation. So that's why we are in talks with, so there were talks between ministers of agriculture, with every particular member states, with several of them, and of course with involvement of European Union institutions. Just one question.
Future meeting coordination platform.
Yeah, so I think that next week there will be another meeting of course. So it continues just like a permanent work.
But I heard there were some countries that didn't come to the platform meeting recently. Are you concerned about relations there within the meeting?
Of course, the certain meetings they were some of member states were not present, but it's not a systemic problem for us. So I think that in any case we will find a solution, because after all all the details of these puzzles are quite well known. So that the task is just to calm down the markets in neighboring member states and give opportunity for Ukrainian markets and for Ukrainian farmers as well to be under less pressure on cost of transit, because it gives them a chance to be at least to cover their costs. Because in all this region, so that it is Ukrainian farmer who produces corn is under biggest pressure. So every vulnerability that goes into play on our border, like starting with shellings and logistical bottleneck or any interventions into the trade flow, it immediately reacts to the fact that the price for Ukrainian farmers is even lower. So that this is the core of the problem. So and that's why we in this situation we do not have a situation when someone is right or someone is wrong, so that it's a situation when all countries, farmers from in all regions have their own vulnerabilities in terms of price. In Ukraine, this vulnerability is because of the inability to export in normal way, so that's why they have no chance to get normal price. they 100% they are in discount, so that the price that is offered on local markets is really on the level of cost of production. In neighboring states, the situation may be not so drastic, but it also impacts local farmers, so that no one says that there is no impact on them. So that's why our task is to ensure that all farmers are in predictable situation and have an opportunity to continue their decent work.